Good morning and good afternoon or good night sa inyong lahat po. Those who are watching live, thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned. This is going to be a really interesting presentation, and hopefully po it will help us, especially our teachers po who are there watching with us, our fellow teachers, mga guro po, wherever you are around the world. Definitely we will have something to learn from this lecture. And without further ado, I will introduce or call on my co-host for Kolektratura po. Hold on a second. Hi, Ma'am Andre. How are you?
Hi, Sir Alan. Good morning to you.
Hello po. How are you po?
Okay po. It's Saturday here in the Sunday pala po ng umaga dito sa Pilipinas. Mainit po at malamig ngayong umaga at saka excited po ako kasi it's the first ever collecteratura for the month of December po.
December, and
So,
mukhang nag-skip tayo sa November. Ano po, Ma'am Andre?
yes po. Meron tayo last week po, last Sunday.
Pero we had an
Meron tayo,
event. We had an event.
yes, yes po. Docu,
It was a docu.
docu,
Yeah.
yes po. Docu komentaro ngayon. It's Collecteratura. So, um, ang ating guest ngayong araw is mula po sa Bicolandia. Bicol po.
Oh,
So,
wow.
siya po ay an author with a number of published works, a co-founder and artistic director of Teatro Ragayano, an actress on stage, and
Oh,
Bicol
wow.
in the films, a teacher in English at Ragay National Agricultural and Fisheries School, and a cultural worker and member of Bikolnon. Mga kakultura, mga kapwa ko guro, let us welcome to Kolektratura ng kapwa, Ma'am Eilyn Lamadrid Nidea. Magandang umaga, Ma'am Ellen.
Hello po, Ma'am
Magandang
Eilyn.
umaga. Magandang umaga po, good evening.
Yes, hello po. Ma'am Andre,
Salamat.
we can't
Thank you,
see
Ma'am
you in the
Andre.
camera. Oh, parang wala po si Ma'am Andre sa camera.
Ay, okay, sorry po. Naklik
There we go.
Ayan.
Thank you po.
Hello
Thank
po,
you
Ma'am
for the
Ellen. Thank you po sa
introduction.
pagpapalak ninyo sa amin dito sa Kolektratura. And thank goodness kayo po ang is she gonna be our final quad po for this year? Or
Hindi
do we
po,
have more
meron
guests
po
po?
tayo next week po, si
Oh,
Sir
next week.
Pete
Okay.
Bonner. Next Sunday po.
Nice, nice. Again, Ma'am Eden,
Okay.
thank you for joining us. We can't wait to see your presentation po. Title pa
Thank
lang.
you for having me.
Yes, yes, thank you po. Okay, Ma'am Andre, without further ado, we're gonna start. Ma'am Aileen, is this, oh, hold on a second. Add to the stream. Is
Yes.
this your presentation po?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
start po. May I
Yes,
start?
yes po.
Okay. Maraming salamat po sa imbitasyon. Masaya ako. Ang supay po ay isang Bicol term. It's a Bicol term meaning overflow. I believe that as a cultural worker and as an artist, we are doing works which are having the supay. Nagsisimula tayo sa papel and then coming to stage or screen and then to the people, the audiences, and then the universe. So the title is Supay Writing Nature. This is also anchored on my advocacy toward writing the environment because of the issues and concerns on climate change, global warming, and then the human stewardship toward our Mother Earth. Okay po, let's start po. Writing nature is defined in the succeeding slides. So, the slides will be available online because this will be recorded. So the audience, please feel free to return, come back again and again if you need to review the concepts. Okay, it is a form of creative nonfiction. Generally, nature writing is in the form of essays, and it also includes travelogues or travel writing. But in my presentation, I will be sharing how to write and I will be reading some excerpts on my published works focusing on eco poetry, eco drama, and eco essays or the creative nonfiction. I have posted my references on the slides. So if the participants want to delve deeper, they can just click on the links for the references. So next slide, please. There is also a mention there that it is using the author's or the writer's a speculative personal voice. So it is a kind of personal interaction with nature on the environment, and it is echoed on the lines of what is written or what is performed. So it is also frequently pastoral or romantic, and there are philosophical assumptions or philosophical interpretations. The succeeding slides will be discussing what are philosophical interpretations of nature. Next, please. So, according to Wikipedia, in which we are advocating because I am part of the Bikol Wikipedia and Bikol Wikisource pages, nature writing is nonfiction or fiction prose or poetry. And in my practice, I have included eco-drama or stage plays. It is about the natural environment. It also encompasses a wide variety of works, ranging from those that place primary emphasis on natural history facts to those in which philosophical interpretation predominate. So now, what are philosophical interpretation? These are discussed in the succeeding slides. It is it philosophical interpretation is dating back as old as the days of Aristotle. Sir, please, next slide. Sir Alan, next slide, please. We are now on the aspects of nature writing. Anyway, it means that nature writing has three main dimensions. I mentioned already natural history information, personal responses to nature, and philosophical interpretation of nature. So, according to Aristotle, nature is a source or cause of being moved and of being at rest in that to which it belongs primarily. So technically, philosophical interpretations of nature is is mentioning the principle within a natural raw material that is the source of tendencies to change or rest. And also essentially, it is the essence of a thing. So all the things and all the things in the environment, all the things in nature, there are essences. So when we delve deeper into that, when we expose ourselves to that, or when we explore those essences, we are starting or we are doing nature writing. I am still waiting for the next slides, please. Okay. So we are done with the nature with the aspects of nature writing. Please proceed, sir. Yes, the philosophical interpretation of nature. So whether we are at rest or whether we are in motion, we are having the philosophical interpretation rooted in our experiences or dealings with our natural environment. Thank you, sir. Next, please. Essence, I have mentioned already a while ago. For more information, please click the link and do more reading. Next, please. Yes. So if we are going to do the writing, nature writing, this reference is suggesting these prompts. You can make our own, we can make our own prompts And I am going also to suggest contextualized, localized, and indigenized prompts later on. But for starting or beginning writers, this also is a big help. So write what fun activities do you like to do in nature. So this is personal. Think about your favorite place in nature. So wherever we are in the world, we have favorite places. Then describe your favorite season of the year. Also, you can write a short story that takes place in the rainforest and write about how flowers and plants change the ambience of a place for the better. There are other suggestions I will be sharing during my succeeding slides. Thank you, sir. Next, please. So technically, from my point of view, nature writing or writing nature is human writing that just happens to take place in nature. So my sharing is focused on eco poetry, eco drama, or stage plays, and eco essay or the creative nonfiction. Because in my reality, I have been doing writings and publications and performances on these. Let's proceed, please. So following slides talks about the techniques and strategies in crafting nature writing. As I have said, this lecture is more of a sharing because this is contextualized. So the LCI is localization, contextualization, and indigenization. Then I will be mentioning Bicol aesthetics, but it can be also contextualized by our participants all over the world. And then techniques also sensory writing and ekphrasis. So let's start, please. So for the details, the localization, contextualization, and indigenization works this way. You simply think of a topic or a theme or an experience, and then you localize it. When you localize, you either translate, you adopt, or adapt. So when you translate, say from English to Bicol or to Filipino, and then you adopt, you take it as it is, or when you adapt, you adjust or modify it to better or best suit your personal reality. Also, it is the act of or process of putting information into context. We have a lot of information, but when we take one information and put that in our own personal or local contexts, that is more becoming more relevant and more useful to us. Then it is also the process by which indigenous ways of knowing, being, doing, and relating are incorporated into educational, cultural, and social structures. May I just say that I have been using these LCI techniques and strategies for a few school years already, and I have found it very relevant, useful, and my learners and my colleagues are really benefiting from this. Next, please. So let's start with the Bicol aesthetics. Here, these are aesthetics in which we Bicolanos, authors, artists, cultural workers, and enthusiasts are using. May I share with you these five? Actually, these are seven aesthetics. So may I invite you to Bicol aesthetics? The first two are from my mentor, Paz Bernades M. Santos, Orag, and Hagkus. Maybe if you have been reading about Bicol or you have Bicolano friends, you're familiar with the term Oragon. So, Orag has a positive connotation that we are we are courageous, we are brave, we are resilient, and then we are good at everything that we put our minds and hands into. So, Hagkus is more on women writing. Ma'am Paz Bernades Santos wrote a book and collected the women Bicolana writings during during the 19th and 20th century, and the title of the book is Hagkus. It is the piece of cloth used to bind the stomach of a mother who has just recently given birth. So, yun po yung hagkos, pang-protection po yun pagkatapos manganak. Ito po ay isang simbolo na nagtatali sa mga Bicolanang manunulat at mga Bicolanang ah, cultural workers and performers, na ibig sabihin po, marami pa rin ang pinagdadaanan ng aming mga panulat at mga pagtatanghal. So, kung nagsusulat po ako ngayon, kasama po ako doon sa urag at doon po sa hagkus. And so with my fellow Bicolana writers and artists. Ang pangalawa po, yung Sagkod by Sir Francisco V. Peñones Jr. Ito po ay maikikwento ko sa pamamagitan ng paglalarawan. Halimbawa po, may tali na nakabigkis sa isang baka o kalabaw. Kung gaano po kahaba yung tali, the reach of the cow or the carabao depends on the length of the rope. So when we are writers, we have also this specific environment or spheres, or maybe we have also our limits in our writing. So that's sagkod. Tagubhang is like patching. So if there are breaks or gaps in our writings, in our cultures, in our realities, when we patch them up, we are doing the tagubhang according to Lourdes Lubes Nieva. For the tungtung, it is more on the here and the now. It's from Jerome M. Hipólito, another poet and cultural worker, and also an educator. So he says that nobody else will be writing about our own places and our own times. So we have to write it. We have to write here and now to record events and experiences and record cultures. So for the last two, it's mine. I I developed and coined it 2 years already, Maan and Danas. The Maan is the focus. It is a Bicol term in which you really look at something, to look at the details, to look at the specifics. When you focus on something, it's easier to write about it. The Danas, the Danas means the experiences. It's also a Filipino word. So here, there you go, the Bicol aesthetics. For the other two techniques that I have introduced, let's proceed first to the next. Let's proceed to the next slide wherein we are going to be able to apply sensory writing. Sensory writing is showing, not telling. We are employing the five senses, and of course, definitely the sixth sense, which is the common sense. So, sensory writing involves the uses of sensory images. We are providing vivid images involving the five senses. The next slide will be sharing the sensory image. So this is also very helpful to cater to a wide variety of audiences. So wide reaches also, because there are realities, there are details that we can only learn and we can only understand through the use of our five senses. Next, please. Another technique is the egg process. So, egg process is just making a new art form based on another art form. Very common is that we are going to use the visual arts to create poetry or written art. We also use visual and printed arts for bases for performances. So that's egg process. If I still have time, included in my presentations are samples of these techniques which I have been using already. So before we proceed to the next slide, may we just summarize the techniques I have introduced for this lecture on writing nature and nature writing. We have the LCI, localization, contextualization, and indigenization. Then we have the Bikol aesthetics. Then we have the sensory writing, showing, not telling. And then we have act process. So let's proceed now, please, to the contextualizing nature writing. This is rooted on my experiences and Bicol experiences. So allow me to share this with you. Thank you very much. So I said that I will be focusing on eco poetry, eco plays or eco drama, and eco essays. For the eco poetry, I have 8 eco-poems and 4 translations included in the Bulus anthology. These poems are concentrated on the Ragay beaches, including the Ragay Gulf, Ragay rivers, and mountains. And then the title of the book coming out mid 2023 is Pagmurumalsok in Ninkinakban, an anthology of Bicol eco poetry edited by Roseville and Nidea. This is the first, to my knowledge, this is the first of its kind in Bicol and even in the Philippines. Contemporary nature writing concentrated on eco poetry. Next, also, I have written, and it's also coming out in February 2023. It's a collaboration. Next slide, please, sir. Ekprastic Eco Poems in Kurit Resource Book, an output of the project Art for Lifelong Learner. I have my co-teachers who are both visual artists. They are also members my creative group in Teatro Ragayano, Annabel A. Haber, and Georgette R. Imperial. It is a collaborative effort. It is an innovation submitted to the Department of Education, Schools Division's Office of Camarines Sur. All the poems there are mine, and the visual arts are by Ma'am Annabel and Ma'am Georgette. I have samples if we still have time. Next, please. Now we are introducing the Teatro Ragayano's stage eco plays. It is part of our advocacy. Every year we make it, we see to it that we are staging plays which are for the advocacy on environment. So first we have the Panaghoy ng Kalikasan. It's staged 4 times, 3 times in Ragay, Camarines Sur in 2017, and once in 2019 as part of the first pista ng Bicol, ng Teatrong Bicol in Legazpi City, Panaghoy ng Kalikasan by Carlos A. Arejola. Then following are my eco musicals, Sulog ng Pagkamuot or Agus ng Pag-ibig, 2018 and 2022. I had also the honor and the privilege to conduct a dramatic reading at the CCP during the event of the Women Playwrights Philippines International in 2018. And then the More of Life also is our English eco play. And then the latest is 2022 Pagdusay sa Patalunan, about storms and about the effects of floods in Ragay. Staged by Sining Banuas PedSing Collab Series 5 in Legazpi City also. Also, a Flash Play Langoy, it's still unstaged, but these are all submitted for publication to a university press here in Bicol. Moving on, the next slide is mentioning my eco essays. This eco essay is published already. There, we have the Teatro Ragayano Playbill. Digdi sa mga baybayin ng Kanragay. I am very much concerned. I have been writing and advocating and campaigning against dynamite fishing and big boat fishing in our Ragay shores and Ragay Gulf. So it is already published. And also, another essay is about my reflections and encounters with Lake Buhi in Camarines Sur, with also the tabios, or the smallest edible fish in the world. So my Echoes of Buhi is also published in 2017 in this collection called Buruhian, an effort by an environmental youth group in Buhi Camarines Sur, Project Susog. So, next please. Why am I very glad to be invited for this cultural event? It is because I write Ragay. I write, I translate, I perform, I collaborate, I advocate. These are my life works, and I am very much blessed to be able to have collaborations with kindred spirits such as the Cultura team. Thank you very much again. So the practically my sharing, my lecture is done. Following are the slides which are sharing, if you will still allow me to read them. So I have written this one. I originally wrote this in Bikol, and I have this translation. This is included in one of the publications for eco poetry also. It's ode to the turug-turug. The turug-turug is the makahiya in Filipino, or the mimosa or the shy plant. If you will allow me to read it, please. So, I let water drop on your leaves, attempts to keep you nourished, bringing my wishes to green depths. You are timid with the crystal liquid. Oh, what do I say, my quiet mimosa pudica, for you to open up, share the wisdom of the universe, trapped in your pinker red bed, allowing my dreams to blossom. Will you wave your leaves, shrieked with the wind, a protest to the age-old silence that mum's humans like justice and peace. So if you will notice, this is my experience with the Turug Turug, but it is also anchored on my ideas about justice and peace for a social issue. Following slides showcases two portraits, two still lifes, two visual arts included on our Kurit Surat resource book. Next slide, please. So this is the pond. This artwork is the pond. Next, please. By Georgette R. Imperial. So it is an example of ekplastic poetry. This is the artwork. I have written Libtong, a Filipino poem about this one. So let me read it. It is in the next slide. It is based on the pond. So, okay, Libtong. Sumalok ako ng tubig mo. Ipinanglinis sa katawan ko. Natutuhan ko ang pakiramdam ng kung paano ang datnan at panawan at di sadyaing makalimutan. Sumalok ako ng tubig mo. Ipinampatid sa uhaw ko. Natuklasan ko ang hiwaga sa bawat paglisan at muling pag-uwi, bit-bit ang mga bagahe ng buhay. So in a sense, it is a travel poetry, the coming and the going, but it is based on an artwork. So that's ekplastic poetry. So the next slides, please, sir, will be showcasing the poem Libtong, but let's proceed to the next artwork, please. Yes, next, please. Yes, the next slide, please. Showcasing another artwork by Georgette Imperial, Hope Blossoms. I wrote a poem on this and I posted this on Facebook on May 5, 2022. This is my second to the last slide. So let me read the poem. This is about the upcoming national elections during that time, and generally my reflections on the political and social conditions of our country in May 2022. Hope blossoms. I see leaves of green anchoring the pink blossoms of hope. I hear the whispers of the wind echo the future's promise. I feel the ground shake with the multitudes of footsteps of a country moving toward one direction of compassion and empathy. I taste the sweet flavors of truth's triumph, nurtured in the hearts of those who saw the light and never again will close their eyes. Thank you very much. That's it for my presentation. Thank you very much, Sir Alan.
That was such a great presentation po. Very inspired about the environment. Um, Nakakatuwa po ano yung background din niyo na may what do you call this? Tilawak ng manok din.
Pasensya po, I cannot
No, no,
control
no.
my
No,
environment.
no. It's really good. It's a good addition to your presentation po.
Presentation.
Alam nyo, something that that's really interesting po when I was in the Philippines po, nung umuwi po ako, I was doing some online what do you call this? Online or Zoom correspondence with my school noon when I was doing my schooling po at Harvard, and I was kwan po, I was on online. Ang aga-aga yung klase namin. It was like what 4 o'clock in the morning, and then ended up at until 6 o'clock in the morning. Tapos every time that
Yes.
I would say something po, may mga kumakahol na aso at mga manok dun sa likod, and then my teachers gets really excited. Nai-excite po sila dun sa tunog ng mga manok na tumitilawak dun sa likod ng background. Natutuwa po sila. Now I understand their feeling po when I heard the tilawak ng manok in your background. It's very very mesmerizing po yung tilawak ng manok while you're doing your presentation. Anyways po, really great presentation. I really am inspired. Now I'm more inspired actually to finding out more about the writer. Uh, what brought you to what you are doing right now? What your experiences were? More of like what your experience as a kid. How was Alien as a young kid or as a young child?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I have written the start of it on the stage. It was featured on the stage, a page by the Antipolo City National High School. It's more on reading. I was 5.5 years old, and I only had one big dream. That is to be able to see one book on my own book in my bookshelf.
Oh,
Because I discovered the joys of reading and writing at 5.5 years old. So now I have over 50 published works and an added bonus and blessings performing. I really enjoy performing. A friend discovered that I can act. So
oh, nice.
I had six Bicol and the films, and I had performed six times also on stage. And I'm also writing, and that also gave birth to my group, Teatro Ragayano. So I'm very
Mhm.
happy that I have been living my dream for almost 15 years now, and
Nice.
my focus is Bicol language, literature, arts, and culture. And I'm thriving because of collaboration. And I'm happy I have found Kultura Group. Thank you very much, Mom Andre. You saw me on YouTube, and then you invited me. And thank you very much for that.
Yes, that's awesome po. Ma'am Andre is an awesome po. Awesome
Yes.
kapwa. So po, she's a very awesome kapwa po. She's a jewel of kapwa. Um, Another question po. So really great kasi parang kahit nung bata pa po kayo talagang interesado na po kayo sa pagsusulat, right? And
Opo.
it seems like it's always been your passion since you were a young kid.
Yes.
Mm. How are you growing up po? Like when you were 5, how are you growing up in the
Yes.
province? What further influenced
Yes.
you to do what you are doing now?
I grew up in my maternal grandparents' farm at the foot of Mount Labo. Mount Labo is the
Wow.
tallest and the most biodiversified mountain in Camarines Norte. So it really
Oh, okay.
influenced me because I have learned how to how to run after insects, butterflies,
Yeah.
and how to pick flowers, how to plant palay, harvest palay. I know how to ride horses, carabaos, and
Oh,
it's a happy childhood. I have
oh,
written about it. I hope it will be published also in essays. And
Nice.
I had such really supportive family, relatives, and friends. That's why I am thriving. And now I'm very blessed that I am now in DepEd and I have been teaching for 34 years
Oh,
already.
wow.
But for the last 15 years, yes, I have been combining my two great loves, teaching and being a cultural worker or cultural work. So my my expertise honed outside DepEd is now being shared with the DepEd. So it's a meeting of my two best worlds and I'm very happy about it.
Nice po. Nice, nice. It's such a great kwan po. It's such a great combination ano po. Your passion in teaching. Actually, teaching it's a great combination of any field, di po ba? Teaching is a
Yes.
great combination of any field. You could be in any field and at the same time combine that with teaching. Then that's if you love teaching, then that's good. You know, you could always share your kwan po, your passion. What about the pandemic po? When the pandemic came, how
Mm.
did that affect your writing or even your life in general?
Actually, the 2 years of the pandemic wherein we have conducted modular distance learning, I
Mhm.
really wrote a lot. Writing has been my escape because I was too sad. I was caught at my Arnab's campus or my school campus. I was alone there. My family is away. My friends, I cannot go there. So I was alone. And during my alone time, I kept on writing. Actually, I wrote a lot, over 100 pieces, poetry, short stories, short plays, and then monologues. So I combined them. It is in the collection entitled Zine in Quarantine. Some of them have been published already. So without without being able to write, I'm not sure if I would have survived the pandemic. So it was a kind of a blessing also.
That is awesome po. That is awesome. And you know, it's yeah, I mean, for some really the pandemic had been kind of like a
Yes.
blessing. Even actually itong kapwa po, how it started was from the pandemic. It really started from the pandemic
Mm,
when everybody had to well had to stay home. So well we begin doing a lecture and then just so happened that most of our kwan po, our audience were teachers, and so
yes.
we created the cultura, which is you know the yung cultura po before is our the name of our kwan po, our group, and then it became kapwa. Um, and it's really kwan po, it's really the in a way that how you see it, if it's a blessing or something else, you know. Kung, I mean, there are many circumstances in life, di po ba? But it's always good to look at it the positive way. Yung kwan po, the different circumstances. I think Mom Aileen is frozen. Mom Aileen, are you still there?
She
Yeah, she's frozen. Mom Andre, how are you?
yeah, and um
What's your take on
the
this one, on the presentation?
uh, the lecture of Ma'am Ellen was um it's a recollection of my time in theater because she is into theater, and the my imagination in asking her later is asking permission also if um her published works can be used in my class for poetry in motion or poetry reading
Nice. That
or
is actually a good idea.
poetry on stage because as in college I portrayed on stage poetry in motion using Ma'am Alistan Gonzalez works. So we the poetry was acted on stage, and I'm feeling mesmerized imagining the works of Ma'am Ellen with my class, and I can teach them theater using poetry. So that's the wonders of poetry. So because my experience is especially if you're using poetry in your own local language, as
Mhm.
she said, indigenization and localization.
Yeah.
So, masarap pong pakinggan po na meron isang teacher na ginagawa yung poetry, yung kanyang gawa po on stage. Masarap pong mag-direct ng isang poetry po. It's a way po, kung sa estudyante po, parang it's in a way of boosting their creativity and their resourcefulness in looking for ways to express themselves creatively po.
Yes, that's so nice po. And it's
Yes, Sir Alan?
yes, it's so, can you hear me po? Can you hear me po, Ma'am
Yes
Andre?
po.
Okay. Yeah, it's kwan po.
Yes po.
It's really great that kwan po with how she, also what I like about her story is that she how it affected her even from her childhood. How she loves the environment, and obviously that's her niche in kwan po in in uh doing what she's doing now. She's writing, and she's doing all this work for the environment, and sharing that knowledge, and inspiring others. Um, Sana nga po magamit ng mga grupo natin ang resource na ito for them to also inspire other children to uh, love the environment like how she did. Um, I don't know if she is coming back. I think she got
Yes po, nalaglag daw po siya. I'm trying to message her po to relog in.
okay, okay po. And
Tapos
I
po,
see that
yung
this is her work, right? These are her paintings po. If I'm not mistaken.
hindi po, paintings ng collaboration din po
Oh, it's a
with her,
collaborative work.
with the
Okay.
visual artist po. Masaya po yung isang painting niyan po na parang visual poetry. O, nandiyan na si Ma'am Ellen.
Yeah.
Hello po,
Hello
once
po.
Hello, sorry I got dropped. It's starting
No,
to
that's
rain
okay po.
here.
That's okay po. We were talking about this painting. Was this your work or a I heard this collaborative work with
It's
someone.
it's by Ma'am Jet Imperial, a collaborator also.
Oh
My
yeah, that's
co-teacher, she teaches art and
mhm.
also our production designer for our theater, Teatro Ragayano.
Nice. I would
Yes.
love to see the kwan po. I would love to see performances. Parang ang gandang nakaka-inspire po na kwan na I'm also inspired to create now like parang mga plays for those
Yes.
kahit sa mga kabataan sa barangay. I mean, you can
Yes,
create
sir.
plays for them, di po ba? You can create plays for them sa mga bata. Even like indie films, you can create like independent films with them.
Yes.
Just using
Yes.
cell phone, mga cell phone now ngayon it's really powerful enough for it to create good films. Yung mga cell
We have
phones.
collections already, but then
Mhm.
our digital presence is not yet very strong. We are raising funds. We are a community theater, so there is really the struggle to raise funds. But we have already prepared collections to be uploaded. I hope that we can share that, or we can share those very soon.
Yeah, and then it would be nice po to see parang if we could is it in YouTube po your own mga indie films or mga trailers po niya
Uh,
that we
we
can
have we have started with Teatro Ragayano page, but we still have to upload our video clips. Some of
yes
them,
po.
they are on my Facebook page. I have some videos uploaded only online, but they are still scattered. I have to create my own page so that I can collect and gather them in one place.
is there so it's not in YouTube po, nothing in YouTube yet, wala pa.
Not yet, but I have some
Oh,
links. Maybe I can share later. I will be sending them to you, sir.
oh, okay po, okay po. Yeah, it's really great po. It's really actually really inspiring to know about these things. And just just yesterday I was I was actually watching something in YouTube when George Clooney was he now George Clooney now lives in Europe, in Europe, where he lives in this very small village, and there's a small theater there that he goes to every
Yeah.
weekend. And
Yes.
it's a very local, it's a very um parang raw theater, meaning it's like you have local
Yes.
performers also. And it's interesting how somebody who's as big as George Clooney would be sitting in a theater watching local performers, di po ba? And that's really
There
quanto
are a
that.
lot of materials.
Yeah. I think it's such a raw talent, that would be great to watch also. I could imagine ngayon pa lang, I could imagine how if we could only inspire
Yeah.
those children in our village, in our barangay, di po ba, to be involved in theater and create a small theater play in.
Yes po. Hello po.
There we go. Can you still hear me, Ma'am Andre?
Yes po. Kanina po nag-buffer po. Pero
Yeah,
ngayon po
nag-buffer.
naririnig ko po kayo.
Yeah.
At saka
But
nag-freeze po kayong dalawa.
oh no, yeah, that's a problem with this StreamYard. I think it does that sometimes. But anyways, di ba Ma'am Andre, ang ganda pag may ganon, yung if you could inspire the children in your barangay to create plays like that.
Yes po. Sa experience ko po, mm, sa school theater group po ako most of my college years. So, nagper-perform po kami sa mga iba't ibang schools or iba't ibang community centers para ma-inspire po yung mga bata na sumali sa theater. Pero tama po yung sabi ni Ma'am Ellen na mahirap po sa community theater, especially sa school theater, kasi po minsan walang funding po.
Mm.
Kaya if you are a theater enthusiast, you will spend your free time as a student po. You'll spend your free time into theater. Pero yun nga po, yung budget po, hindi talaga malaki po. Pero
Pero
if
it
you
doesn't
got a
really,
grant,
yeah. Pero does it
if
really need a lot of money to produce
yes
something
po.
like that?
Kasi po yung mga bata po libre na po yung enthusiast na sa theater. Pero po yung gamit po yung for example sa costume, sa lights. Kasi po yung community theater pag hindi pa siya ganun kalaki, it needs a lot of funding po in terms of lighting, in terms of scripts, in terms of rehearsal po. Yung mga bata po wala pong pinapakain po ng organization.
Hmm.
Tapos libre po yung performance. So binibase po yung sa ano po sa tickets po. Tapos yun lang po yung gagawin po yung production po doon yung production po ay kukunin sa tickets na mabibenta po. So
Hmm.
pag libre
Okay.
kaya nga po nakaka-relate po ako kay Ma'am Ellen kanina na sabi niya it's difficult to produce community theater productions. Kaya
Hmm.
nga po, wait lang po. Tapos ah, kasi po umuulan sa kanya, that's why po she is asking po na if ever ganito nga po early kasi nagka-fluctuate yung kanyang internet.
Yeah, yeah. Nag
Yun.
ano po,
Tapos po,
umulan.
for those yes po, um, for those po na naghihintay ng Kultura Code po, pwede na natin sigurong
Yeah,
ilabas.
yeah, we can give it po.
Kultura Code po is KLS E21.KC313. Again, that's KLS to E21.KC313. Ito po yung Kultura Code para makakuha po yung mga um, viewers or who will watch this as a playback po ang presentation ni Ma'am Ellen. Go to www.riverboystudios.com, go to attendance and surveys, at i-key in nyo po yung mga necessary information para po makakuha kayo ng certificate from Kapwa. And
Yeah,
sir,
it's nag-buffer na naman
so
po. Can you
going
hear
back,
me? Can you hear me po,
yes
Ma'am Andre,
po,
now?
I
Okay.
can hear you. Yes po. Tapos po next Sunday po, meron po tayo ulit si
Yes.
Sir Pete Pregoner po. It's on Sunday at
Did
this
we
time
already
rin po.
did we already input the information po, Ma'am Andre?
Not yet po. I'm just waiting for his title po.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kasi i-change niyo daw po. So after that po, we will go docu, komentaryo po at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kung kailan po tayo pwedeng mag-docu.
Yeah. That would be great po.
Can we do it po last week of December or middle of before Christmas po?
Yeah, we can do that po. We can do that. We'll probably talk about it with the rest of our kapwa admins po, and
Yes,
then
she's
opo.
not responding po, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ma'am Andre, I think we're gonna end the broadcast now, and we thank everyone for joining our Colecteratura episode 21. It was such a great honor po to have Eilyn Lamadrid Nidea, who is a writer about nature. Um, Great addition po to the collections of writers that we already have here in Kapwa. Great day po sa inyong lahat. I don't know, Ma'am Andre is also frozen now. Baka umuulan din po sa kanila. Thank you po ng marami sa inyong lahat. Great night po. And we hope to see you next in our next episode, whether it is documentaryo or Colecteratura. Thank you po. Have a great night there in the Philippines.